All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Touching Eternity, the podcast.
It
I got the
is Christmas Eve.
Eve.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's nice and 60 degrees out. So
Yes.
no snow for us, which is always
And
nice.
tomorrow's going to be 72, so we can all
And
be,
rainy.
we'll be swimming.
Yeah.
Tonight, we're going to do holiday hauntings, is the topic. And we're going to talk about some Christmas ghost stories, not just the old Ebenezer Scrooge, but some other ones. This is a Christmas Eve, so we know a lot. We won't have a lot of people joining us tonight.
But I did research. I just want to put that out there and let everyone know. Saturday, I did research. I sat on my sofa and I looked at specific hauntings from around the world. And it's not easy to find specifically related to Christmas that ghosts are appearing.
Right.
So you got to dig.
There is
And
one
I
from
like
New
that.
Orleans, though, so we do have one in
Yes.
New Orleans, so
And
that
I
was
got
good, and we talked about it earlier in one of our
Mhm.
podcasts.
And I got one from Cincinnati, where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
that I actually got to participate in in that ghost haunt. Well, not the haunting itself. That would be kind of weird because it was before my time, but in the actual in a ghost hunt.
Right. So, so,
Yeah.
so that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. And so if you are joining us or if you're out there watching, and we do have Magdie's on all three channels, please say hello to us. Type in hello. Let us know that you've joined us. I do know it's Christmas Eve. Like I said, we're not expecting a lot of people to join us tonight because of it being Christmas Eve. But we know tomorrow is Christmas Day. So we're not doing it. We didn't want to do it on our normal Wednesday. Our show is normally every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and we will not be doing one next week. So we are doing one this week. We are not doing one next week. I will be doing some lives next week periodically during the week about Touching Eternity, the conference that is in June 2025, 4th through 8th. And I will be with the tutors that will be joining us, the instructors that will be joining us for that conference.
Okay.
And we'll be doing some live episodes together. And so that's what we'll be doing throughout the week that I will be in England, because I'll be in England all next week. So we're going to be doing some lives I'll be doing some lives with them, but it won't be at any specific time because remember England is
Are they 12 hours?
no 6 hours ahead.
Okay.
So they're 6 hours ahead of us.
That's actually not too bad. I was expecting
Well, when it's 8 o'clock
more.
here, it's 2 a.m. there.
That's a good point.
Yes.
Yes, so maybe
Yeah.
yeah, some afternoon from the pub that you can be sharing some stuff.
Right. Well, at 2 a.m. I hope to be not in the pub.
No, no, like in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Like for those that can do math,
Yeah.
if you were doing 2 p.m. there,
It would no, well, it would be 8 a.m.
8
here.
a.m. here.
Yeah,
Okay.
people still be sleeping.
So, yeah, our people are still sleeping or going to bed. Some of them,
Yes,
because
yes.
it's that wonderful time of year. I always like to view it where the days start to kind of blend together. You don't really know what day of the week it is. There's a lot of leftover cheese, chocolate, and cookies, and you just kind of like sleep and watch movies. And at
Yeah.
least that's my time after Christmas between New Year's.
Yeah. And so if you're on TikTok, please tap the screen. I don't know what people do that, but if you are, tap the screen. Oh, Denise joined us. Well, we do have a holiday person joined us. Hi, Denise. And Denise joined us on Facebook. Denise, we're on 3 channels right now. So thank you for joining us. And we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Oh, it is now 8 o'clock, so we can get started. So tonight's episode is all about holiday hauntings. And Alicia did a lot of work, so I'm going to let her take over a lot of it. And then we will, talk a little bit about some Christmas ghost stories.
Yes.
So let me go ahead. So let me change over to the PowerPoint.
Mhm.
So holiday hauntings is going to be our talking points tonight, and we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight. So
Yeah.
some
So
Christmas spirits.
yeah, so
Christmas spirits.
oh,
I
no,
love it.
no pun intended. This was fun to do research. It was, as I mentioned, it was a little challenging to find all the tales, but the There's something very Victorian. I felt like very Victorian, and kind of like we were going back in time to research a lot of these because a lot of them are older. Um,
Merry Christmas, Wolf Girl on TikTok. So TikTok I don't see on this big screen. I gotta look on the phone for TikTok. Oop, did I just
I
change
did
it?
it. I
Okay.
did.
Sorry, I did
Sorry.
that.
No. I do things and I don't tell you, and then
Yeah,
you get freaked out and sorry,
that's all
but
right.
and it's always cute to watch your reaction. So, the history of ghost stories, we always think about that now around Halloween, and of course, it's always so fun to hear them around Halloween, but it really became big in the Victorian era in England was when it just kind of exploded in popularity over there. And a lot of times it started because this was the darkest time of the year. I mean, we just had the solstice
Mhm.
this past Saturday, and I saw something like the sun set at 3 o'clock, and every day after that we got like a couple more minutes of light or just something different to keep in mind. Um, but that was told because ghost stories were told because it was considered the darkest time of year. My personal belief is that I would love to see a resurgence of the ghost stories being told. I think some of them, our most famous one, of course, is A Christmas Carol, and that's probably told to young children now to keep them in their beds so they're not
Yes.
snooping, so parents can actually put the gifts under the tree.
Okay.
And so, our first location, this one is very near and dear to my heart. I'm going to take us back to Cincinnati, where I'm from. This is a little restaurant now down
Hi,
the
Alicia. Merry
street.
Christmas. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, there's another Alicia. Hello,
Yeah.
Alicia. It's kind of like the Barbie movie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. So, I actually did a ghost hunt here one Christmas Eve myself.
Okay.
And if anyone follows my Instagram, I promise I do more in my life than go to hotel bars and restaurants and drink champagne. But that's kind of been I don't have a bad life. I'll be honest. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. And back then too, in different cities, I still would go to places and drink champagne. And so while I was doing that one evening, I learned that there is a lot of ghost and hauntings at this particular restaurant. And so, of course, I had to do research and find out what was going on and how do I get involved in a ghost hunt of this place. So, the ghost I found out tended to be very popular on Christmas Eve. And the reason behind that is this was a former stagecoach stop back in the day, around the 1800s, a gambling house, supposedly a brothel or a place of ill repute. What is repute?
Yes.
Okay.
House of ill repute.
Oh, okay. I didn't have any champagne today.
I have some in the fridge. May I bring it?
Level me out.
Magni, could you bring us 2 flutes of champagne, please? Why not? It's Christmas
It's
Eve.
Christmas Eve. So reportedly there were 4 murders on this site. I only know of 3, and I was only told of the 3. Maybe the 4th one is kept secret or something, or maybe it was a bad employee.
So
Who
that's what I
knows?
was wondering when you read this. Is 3 murders were of a woman named. Was there 3 Emilys, or were there 3 murders? Emily being one of them.
There were 3 murders.
Oh, Emily, her husband,
Emily
and her mistress,
was,
and his
yes,
mistress.
his mistress. So Emily apparently walked in during Christmas Eve of her husband and his mistress, and she had a little fire in her. So she immediately killed them both.
Sounds like you.
My Taurus energy.
Yeah.
And then she went upstairs. Let me see, where's that?
Got it.
Like up to this room here.
Yeah, they can see it when you do it there.
Where there's some rafters and some beams, and she hung herself. So supposedly on Christmas Eve is when there's a lot of activity at the restaurant. And I was able to convince the manager to let me and a friend do a ghost hunt one Christmas Eve there, which was phenomenal. We drank and ate lovely food and then just wandered around this huge restaurant all by ourselves. So the staff will report that there's cold spots throughout the restaurant, particularly upstairs room. There's sounds of a scream at 1 a.m. on Christmas Eve when her suicide supposedly occurred. And then a fire, there's been fires that will suddenly light themselves Um, in the fireplace, songs will play on the speaker that they're not programmed into the machine. Glasses will move around and crash to the floor, which is pretty common at haunted restaurants and bars. That's something I've seen a lot myself. And this is the weirdest one that I thought. So, and I've never heard of this before in a haunting, and of course I had to do it myself. Um, I was told that if you look at her picture, which is lovely, this lovely picture of this very
Lovely.
stern.
Look at those eyes. I'd have
stern.
cheated. No, I'm just
Okay,
kidding.
yeah, I know. She like
looked mean.
she needs some eyebrows done, maybe a little bit of lipstick, moisturizer.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
She looks
exactly.
kinda mean to me.
Then yeah, he obviously
I wouldn't have cheated. I'd have been scared to cheat.
Yeah, well, yeah, and she proved her point.
Yeah.
So apparently, if you look at her picture, which is right outside the hallway to the bathrooms, and if you walk into one of the back stalls after staring at her picture and you stare down, this is really, really weird, that the walls of the bathroom stall will almost move in a V shape and go down, like kind of creating a vertigo effect that that the walls are falling down around you. Which, granted, I'm we've talked about this. We have to be skeptical. You have to be skeptical when you're haunting spirits,
Absolutely.
and you can't just assume whatever's happening. But I did go look at the picture. I did go to the bathroom, and I did experience the vertigo effect of the walls going down. But I had also been imbibing on my own spirits all evening. So, but it's a lovely, exquisite restaurant, and if you're ever in the area, I would certainly recommend checking it out and doing the ghost stories or the ghost tour of it.
Just not on Christmas Eve.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
So the next story is Alcatraz Island, which did you know that this was around Civil War time was when Alcatraz Island came to be, and the prison itself.
Okay.
Which I did some research on that because the ghost is a Victorian ghost. We're gonna get a lot of Victorian ghosts tonight, and this is one of them. So here we have the lovely Alcatraz Island and this wonderful picture. This looks very a Christmas Carol to me. So there were workers on.
He'd make me swim.
Yeah, he's not a cutie. I would not swipe right.
No.
So we always just assume that there, when we think of Alcatraz, that it's just going to be prisoners and just that. But there were workers, there were families and people on the island, and so one of the wardens was having a holiday party one Christmas Eve, and a ghost of. They suspect it was a former worker that actually drowned in a boat. His name was Michael, and that he was trying to leave one night or something happened and his boat capsized and he wasn't able to make it ashore. But he was dressed in traditional Victorian clothing with mutton chops and a black cap and a gray suit, and he appeared to all of the guests at the party and then promptly vanished.
Wow. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is the Bramshill House in England, 17th century.
Now, this story, when I read it, I had a lot of questions that we'll get to as we discuss it. I thought of you because you're going to England in a couple days, if you'll be checking out any of these great manors.
I've stayed in many of them. I don't know if any of these particular, but I've stayed in a lot of beautiful places in England.
They seem like there's a lot of just very nice
there are
places still over there. Do they turn like a lot of the manors into bed and breakfast, like a downtown Abbey kind of thing going on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's how I picture it. But this one, I don't think I would want to stay here because this is kind of weird. So the bride and groom get married on Christmas. And before they begin the wedding eve festivities of what's the word, consecrating the marriage or something, I guess is a nice way to say it, how they would do back then. The bride suggests that they play a game of hide and seek, which really says a lot that she is trying to do anything rather than go to bed with that groom. She wants to play hide and seek on Christmas Eve. So he acquiesces her request, and they all start this game. And for some reason, she's able to find a secret door inside this huge house somewhere that nobody knew about. And within the secret door is a chest. She gets inside the chest, and it suddenly locks. She can't get out. No one hears her. No one knows about the secret door. They're searching for her. The groom just assumes that she ran off with another man, which, I mean, kind of, I guess maybe I would assume the same thing. Like, here, yeah, I'd rather go play hide and seek than go to bed with you. And then she disappears.
Well, he had to be pretty bad because, like, the secret room wasn't enough. She had to go climb in a locked chest
Yes.
in a secret room that nobody knew about. So, like, he had to be pretty bad.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, damn, girl.
Yeah, it wasn't enough, the secret room.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Exactly. So, so she dies. And so they don't uncover her until 50 years later. And when workers or whomever uncovers this secret room, they see this chest, they open it up, and there's skeletal remains of a woman in a wedding dress. And of course, as that it always goes with the sad stories of the people buried alive, where there's the nail scratchings on inside the chest.
Well, at least then the dude probably felt better 50 years later. He was like, well, she must have really loved me because she didn't run with somebody else.
That's true. She did stay.
She did stay.
So the hauntings of this, of course, there's so many women in white in England, which we're going to get to some more of those stories later on, or women in various colors that appear at the manors in England. And they have the fleur-de-lis room is actually where she was seen, or where the death occurred. They had a visitor, Michael I of Romania, who was staying there, and he asked after his first night to be moved to a different room because there was a woman. Actually, no, it wasn't the first night then. Every night that he was there was a woman that was walking through in the middle of the night smelling of the lily of the valley. And apparently this became such a popular Victorian ghost story that it inspired a song. And the song became so popular in 1859 that most British households would share the story and sing the song during Christmas Eve.
Wow. And this, like I told you, this reminds me of a place I stayed in England, where actually this little window right here would have been my room because it looked just like this. It was a carriage house at a big home that I stayed in.
What's the heating situation like?
It had air. I mean, it had central air in it.
Okay.
So, it was modernized.
Oh, okay.
So.
I didn't know. Like, when I look at it, I just assume that they haven't really updated that much, that you've got your fireplace.
Or really, well, I say that, but, now to think about it, maybe it didn't have central air, but England is so cold and damp. You just kind of don't need it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You don't need the heat or the
You might need the heat,
air.
but I mean, it was comfortable. I remember that. And then, like, when I went and stayed in the castle in the Netherlands, in Barlow, it was it was, the windows were open and the wind, it was cool. It was cool, and I had a fan, so it was fine. Now they just went in November, so I don't know how cold it was in November there, but I'm sure. I saw they had heat, but I don't know if they had air. It only gets really, really hot for a very short period of time.
That reminds me, I stayed at a hotel in Chicago in November several years ago, and this was the weirdest story to me. It was on Michigan Avenue. It was the Hilton. I think, like, that's one of their more famous hotels. And I got into the room and it was like 74 degrees. It was really humid, and I called down.
In November in Chicago?
It was, yeah, like my room, though. Like, my room was just like muggy, and you could tell like no air was going in, and it was just gross. So I turned on the air conditioning and it wasn't working. So I called down to the front desk and was like, hey, I'm having some issues with the air conditioning. And they're like, oh, yes, we've turned it off. There's no air conditioning in the hotel right now. And I said, okay. So I just hung up the phone. I figured I just got someone who may have been stupid, and I'll call back in a few minutes and hope someone new answers at the front desk. So called back. Someone answered the phone and explained the situation again. And they're like, yeah, we just turned off the air conditioning. And I'm like, what do you mean? And oh, we're a historic hotel. We either have air conditioning available or heat. We never have one. We never have both at the same time. So just open up your window. I was on the 14th floor and there was no screen. So that was better to them. They thought that that
Oh
was a
no,
better.
that's how it is in Europe. That's it. That is when I was in England in the winter. There's heat. There's no air. I opened the window, but I wasn't on the 14th floor. But you
Yeah,
open the window
yeah.
when you get on because and that, I never understand why every hotel, no matter what time of year it is, always has down comforters. Down's hot, and
Mm-hmm.
we're from the south, so I don't like being
Yes.
hot.
Yeah. We're
So
used to just like a nice cool breeze when you
right.
can control
So,
it.
so I open the windows and I'm like, bring the cold in because I'm getting under that down. So,
And people sleep better that way. You sleep better in a cold
mm-hmm.
room with nice warm sheets.
All right.
So
So
we digressed.
we
So
digressed.
this story, I really like this story because there's a certain creepy, spooky factor about it. So I butcher every title. I apologize ahead of time to the English people. This is, I believe it's Ruse Hall, located in England, and it is the Headless Horseman of Ruse Hall. And it is the town called Beccles. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is a 16th century building that was known for its death, violence, and numerous executions on the site. Now, again, we're going back to these Victorian times where they reported a holiday apparition that first began to appear in 1909. And every Christmas Eve, there is a carriage that is driven by a headless horseman that pulls up to the driveway of the Ruse Hall. And it says that a woman steps out of the carriage, and if you make eye contact with her, that you will experience madness. And then she disappears 100 feet right before the front door. So the apparition of the woman is thought to be the first wife of Baron of Helmsley, Robert de Roos, who is presumed to be the driver, and that he's forced to spend every Christmas Eve as the headless man driving these horses in punishment for his evil deeds in life because he was apparently doing a lot
Evil.
of these executions.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Location now is the Hever Castle, a childhood home of Anne Boleyn.
Have you been there?
No, I've
Okay.
been by there, but not in there. I've seen so many castles, from my travels that
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't impress me anymore.
No.
It's like
I love that. I love that.
it's
I'm
like it's like
beyond.
somebody told me like go to Stonehenge and like I'm
Uh
like why? It's a bunch of rocks. They're like
huh.
oh the experience of the energy and I'm like okay
Just.
but you can't get to it. It's fenced in now. You can't even get you can't.
Oh, you can't?
No. So I'm like why
Well, that's
go?
probably good though, because the modern generation
Right.
they'd
Well.
probably be graffitiing
Right. Well,
Stonehenge
I'm like
with
why?
like
So
their
then but then I'm
serum
like
was
then I'm like
here.
why go? I can see pictures of it. So Allie and I
Yeah.
took the computer and put our heads by it and said, "Look, Stonehenge, us." I mean, I go to England all the time, but I'm not spending all these money to go to Stonehenge. Hi Susan. To go to Stonehenge and then to just go look at some rocks.
Hmm.
Look, I have seen so many. Let me tell you, it's really weird. I've been to the Vatican. I've been all over. I've been all over and seen all kind of beautiful things. Believe it or not, the one thing that really moved me,
Hmm.
even more so than the Vatican is beautiful, but the thing that moved me the most was the Last Supper outside of Milan. That somehow that just touched me. The story behind it, and when you look at it, it. I don't know if I was having an emotional day.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but looking at the actual Last Supper
Hmm.
did something to me.
That's really interesting about art though, because
Mm.
that sometimes that can really move you. I had a moment like that. I was in the Philadelphia Art Museum and I was in their medieval section and they had a triptych from I'm sure I don't even know what um church in Europe, but it was super old and it was carved and it was wooden and it was beautiful and they had all their angels carved and scenes of Jesus, and I don't remember if it had like a Last Supper ideology or what, but I had a moment where I just stared at that and was like,
I went
that's
to the real one that
amazing.
was part of it was destroyed in the war, and they moved it to this church to keep it safe. And you got to go through all these vacuum locks to get to it
Oh
because
wow.
they're trying to keep it preserved, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely breathtaking.
So Anne Boleyn, I know a lot of us know about Anne Boleyn. She was the second wife of Henry VIII. Um, and I don't know when she was killed. I don't think it was around Christmas. But she was beheaded. She was the second, or she was the first wife to be beheaded, the second of his wives to be beheaded. But she appears every Christmas Eve at her childhood home, which was Hever Castle, and that her ghost is seen very somber and reflective, and just kind of drifting slightly over this picturesque bridge that goes over the river Eden, and then also beneath a large oak tree that she and Henry VIII would court at or exchange pleasantries.
Okay, so what is that picture of?
So that picture, yes, that weird picture, that supposedly is a sighting of Anne Boleyn.
Okay.
I wanted to include it because there's evidence somewhere if you look on the internet and go
Okay.
into things. This is apparently a picture. If you Google the ghost of Anne Boleyn, this did come up right away, which I thought that was great that they had a Christmas story right away about her. So this is in England a very, very popular. Well, I think a lot of Henry VIII wives' ghosts are very popular. She was probably one of the more popular of his wives. And there's this image. I don't really fully understand what's happening, but I'm assuming that this circle right here, it looks like she's flying through a wall, and then something's coming out here. But I highly recommend doing some looking into it if you're curious about this picture.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the last story is something that we've covered before, and this is the legend of Julie. It's a devotion of love. Julie was a Creole woman in New Orleans who lived on Royal Street. The address is 732 Royal Street, which is still there today. That was the location of Bottom of the Cup. It was where they did a lot of readings, and now it's where the Blue Dog art shop is. But Julie was a Creole woman who was married to a businessman from I believe it was from France. He was a businessman from
Mm-hmm.
another country, but he was
Most
here in New
likely
Orleans.
France.
I think it was France, and he loved Julie very much in love. But because of Louisiana laws at that time, he could not marry her because he would have to give up his wealth. And so he lived with her. They lived just like they were married, but he could not actually
She
marry
wanted
her,
that
and she
title.
wanted that title of being
Mm-hmm.
married. And she would always, ask him, please, let's just get married. He's like, Julie, we can't, we just can't. And it was one December, he was having one of his social events at the house with all the guys, and they were, just smoking their cigars and talking business and stuff and drinking. And he came to, she came to him and said, please, this year, please, let's plan on getting married. And he told her that if you get up on top of the roof and wait there for me to love and to
Sleep
sleep
naked all
naked,
night.
right, I will marry you. And
Mm-hmm.
he was drunk and intoxicated, and he went on and continued with his friends. And when he went to bed that night, she wasn't there, so he just went on to bed. And then the next morning when he woke up, he realized that she wasn't there. He remembered what he said and panicked and went up, and he found her frozen to death on the
It happened to be
rooftop,
the coldest night
the
of the
coldest
year.
night of the year.
Yes.
And she was deceased on the roof, and he was heartbroken and lost the love of his life. But every night on the coldest night in December, and some say it is December 25th, she will appear naked on the roof. Now, during the year, you'll see her in the galley or on
Mm-hmm.
the stairwell, but you will see her on the roof on the coldest night in December. a lot of times that being December, right around the Christmas season, you'll see her
We have had a little
on
bit
that
of a
roof.
cold spell lately.
Yeah, she was probably there the other night, maybe. I don't know which the
Yeah.
coldest night was, but it was kind of cold the last couple of nights. It's
It
going to be
was like 30, 40-ish. Yeah.
40-ish, low
Yeah.
40s, I believe
So,
is what
yeah,
it
she might
was.
have been there.
So you might have gotten to see Julie if you were in the French Quarter
Yes.
at 732 Royal. So she is definitely a New Orleans legend.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've lost. Oh no, we got some people back. There we go. We back up to 9. So yeah, so Julie is a definite New Orleans ghost story for the month of December. All right. One last thing we're going to do before we start talking and before we conclude for our wonderful Christmas Eve haunting show. So, just some Christmas folklore and legend. Of course, there's the wonderful Krampus legend that everyone knows about, and now it's moved from overseas to here. The terrifying Christmas demon who terrorizes children. Who, if you've been bad, he's coming for you. And
with coal and a switch.
Coal and a switch.
Yes.
A big goat-looking creature.
He is, I want to say, December 5th is apparently Krampus Day.
Yeah.
Because Saint Nicholas is my patron saint. Growing up Catholic, you know how your middle name was usually after a saint.
Uh-huh.
And I would always get really excited because December 6th was when Saint Nicholas would come. And I was doing some Krampus research this year because I'm a weirdo, and found out that he is supposed to arrive the night before St. Nicholas.
Ah. Okay. And then number 2, which we already went over, was the ghost of Anne Boleyn at Hever Castle. She's said to be around Christmas time, appear around the Christmas tree a lot. So a lot of people report that. And then
Mary Laud.
Yeah, I was going to say, my Lord.
My Lord.
My Lord.
Oh, dear.
Mary Laud in Welsh folklore is the spectacular figure of a horse skull on a stick, which is visiting homes during Christmas season for eerie wassailing, which is a festive English tradition to bless the harvest.
Is that Here We Go a Wassailing?
I guess.
Is that where that came from?
I have no idea. But I found that odd, so I put it in there.
Yeah, that one is kind of weird.
And then, believe it or not, the haunted White House Christmas. There are stories of ghostly sightings, including Abraham Lincoln during Christmas at the White House.
We should do a haunted White House during the inaugural.
You do a White House ghost hunt, huh?
Yeah, or no, not a ghost hunt. No, we should do an episode.
I think they'd let us do a ghost hunt at the White House. You think they'd let us do that?
Oh, God. They would hate us.
Oh, I know they would hate us.
We'd be like, picture
Merry Christmas, Stowe. Thanks for joining. Love you, girl. And then the Brown Lady of Ronman Hall, the infamous ghost often associated with the holiday season when families gather at the hall.
Now, there's a great picture of that.
Okay.
If that's because there's so many stories of ladies in England that I remember seeing this picture years and years ago, and we may have to post it on a later episode because this is one of perhaps the creepiest ghost pictures I've ever seen, where this was a photographer that was taking pictures. I think it was Life magazine or something like that.
Is that the one with the ghost going up the stairs from the other side of the stairs?
Yes.
Yes,
and she's
I've seen
holding
that.
a can. Yeah, that's classic.
That is a classic one. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to come back to this later. But what I want to do is talk a little bit first. See how many people we got out. So now we're down to 6. We were at 9. So anyway, instead of doing reading site, I'm going to talk about numerology. So we're coming out of an 8-year in numerology, which is a money and power year, and it's all about learning about what your power is and how you're gonna, how you're gonna look at your finances and what you're gonna do with them, and how you're gonna plan out the upcoming year. We're moving into a non-year, which is all about endings and reconstruction and figuring out like what we're gonna do for the next 9. It's like
the next 9 years.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, in Pythagorean numerology, everything is about the numbers of the 9 numbers. Okay. And it's like everything happens in a 9-year cycle. And when I look at my life, everything happens.
I thought it was 7 years.
It's not Pythagorean. There's another one that does 9.
Here's Massey now.
And so, it just depends on how you are, which one of the ones you're following and how you're reading it. So Pythagorean numerology is a 9-year sequence and 9-year intervals, and so it just depends on how you are, how you follow it. And we're in it. Everybody right now is in an 8-year, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going into a 9-year, and so you really need to look at, you know,
Where your goals are and what you're wanting to do, would you
r-
say, during that time?
right, what your goals
Because that's
are.
because that's a lot of planning during, I would
Right.
say, if it's this is because the way you're describing it, um, hey, this is where you're going to be for the next 9 years. It's almost like you're slowly building a house.
Right.
Like, okay, this is perhaps something, an area that I want to focus on, and then take it to this level in the next 2 years or so. Is that how you would?
Right. And so this is what we'll look at next year. You're gonna now, so not this next this should come in year 2025 is everybody. So it's a universal 9.
Okay.
So it's like where's the world going? People around. We're gonna see a lot of death this year. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna see a lot of change this year. Not just death, but universally. Usually in 9 years, you lose a lot of celebrities pass, a lot of well-known people
I have a
pass,
lot of
a
questions
lot
that
of
I can't
things
ask you right
happen.
now.
Okay, well we
Well,
what
actually, I will. I will. Whatever. It's Christmas
9
Eve.
is about endings, and it depends what your personal year is. And how do you figure out what your personal year is? You add your month of your birth and the day of your birth together, you bring it down to one number. So I am July 25th, so that's 32. That's 7 and 25 is 32. That's a 5. So I'm in a 5-9 year. So I'm going to be in a 5-9 year, because
I
5 and
thought you
9,
were a four.
I'm a 4 life path.
Okay.
But right now, I'm moving into a 5 personal year and a 9 universal year. So that's how you find out what year you're going into universal. Right now, I'm in a 4-8, which is hard work and money. That's why I had so
That's why
much.
you're a
That's why I'm a
workaholic.
workaholic this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm developing everything this year. I'm doing because I'm going into a 5-9, which means change. Fives are change and endings. So I'm cutting out a lot of stuff. I'm moving a lot of stuff. I'm changing a lot of stuff. That's all 2025 is going to be for me.
Okay.
Okay, so and I'm getting rid of stuff that's not working, because in 2026 I'm starting everything new. I'm starting a whole new journey in 2026.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. And then it's going to be more about family to me, because I'm going to be in a 6-1. I'm going to be more into my relationship. I'm going to be more about making those family connections. I'm going to be more and about considering what friends I want to bring closer to me. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be looking more at
More with
bonds.
intent. I
I'm
like
gonna be
that.
looking at more at bonds and doing those things. And Denise, your 820. Let's look at the 820. Well, Denise, your number is going to be your life path number. Denise is going to be 36, which is a 9. You're a 4 as well, Denise, but you're going to be currently in a 8 and 28 is 36, 9. Denise, unfortunate for you, you're double numbers, Denise. So you're a 9 going into a 9. Yours is going to be all about endings and change and humanitarian, and just kind of seeing where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I want to do with my life. And so, numerologically, that's where you're going. That is where you're going with your life. It's just about, you're going to be getting rid of people left and right out of your life this year.
Sometimes that's good.
Sometimes it is good.
Every time I've gotten
So,
rid of negative people
mm-hmm.
and bad things in my life, I have had a flood of positivity and wonderful people. And I think a lot of times, and this, I think, goes back to our energetics, when you get rid of the negativity, it creates more room for the positive.
Right. And Doe, you're going to be in a right now. Your month and birth total of 3. So So three, and you're going to be in a 3-9. So you're going to be doing creative endings, which means social endings.
Okay,
You're going to have all new friends. You're getting rid of friends. You're getting rid of social stuff. You're starting to change your social life.
I thought when you say creative
year.
endings that she's gonna like be ending things with people like in a creative fashion, like
she could do that too,
or like sending something. That's,
she could do that
like,
too.
Different.
So,
okay.
So what she's gonna be doing is she's gonna be looking. So if I was Doe, I would be looking at who in my life is not really helping me progress to the next level.
Mm-hmm. What's no longer serving you.
So how can I create something that's going to help me get where I want to be? So I would take a hard look at myself and I would say, where do I want to be by the end of that year? And then I would definitely get rid of the people that's not helping me get there. And that's what she's going to be doing in 2025. Even with work. I mean, even with work, she'll look and say, is this really helping me meet my goals? Is this really helping me? And she may not quit, but she's going to want to change things about, change things about that, do things with that. So,
a different way
right.
to do stuff.
Anyway, so y'all like my Santa robe. Anyway. So, in numerology, you take the month you're born and the day, and you bring it down to one number and you add it to the year and you bring that down to one number, and that kind of tells you where you're going. And when you look at numbers, ones are all about new beginnings. It's all about taking that first step. Ones are about, ones are about perfection, but it might look like procrastination.
How do you find what year path you're on, though, based on your number path?
Your personal year. I'm telling you. Oh. I just told you. You add your month and day. Your month and day to the year. Right now we're in an 8-year. 2024 is an 8-year. 2025 is a 9-year. So, and your month and day tells you what your personal year is. So right now you add that to the year. So you are what's your month and day?
4/26/81.
So I don't need the 81. 4 and 26 is 30. 3 and 8 is 11. So you're in a 2-8 year, which means next year you're going to be in a 3-9 year because it just goes one up each time.
Oh, okay. Do I get creative endings next year too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Okay, I love creativity. Okay, you and me, Dee, we're going to get together and do some creative endings.
So if anybody out there wants me to do their, numbers, put your month and day of your birth up there and I'll help you do it. But again, I want to go over some of the numbers in case you guys want to do them yourself. But you add your month and your day and your month together. And then you add that to the year, the current year, and that gives you your Magni is 822. So Magni, that's a 3 and a 9. You're going to be in Magni's going to be in creative endings too.
So me, Magni, and Dee, we're gonna have a drinking circle, and yes, we're gonna write some creative notes. Magni can use his origami skills, and we can put the notes inside the origami and send it off as our creative ending.
So that's a little bit of a numerology for you guys out there. And it's just, I guess that's just basic numerology. The life path number, you have to write your whole birth date out. That means month, day, and complete year with the 19 or the 20 in front of it. And you add all those numbers all the way across and bring it down to one number. And that tells you what your life path is. And then, of course, you got your birth name. That also affects your attitude and your mood and who you are.
So much.
Yeah, numerology is a lot of fun.
It is. It's just, yeah.
I do teach it online. So, yes. So, I do teach it online. Thank you, Taylor, for watching and on TikTok. And yes, it is a lot of fun.
Taylor, what's your info?
If it's the Taylor I'm thinking of, because I can't really see which Taylor, but I have a student in numerology too. I think it might be one of my students who took my numerology course, who's phenomenal with numerology. If that's my Taylor, she's already.
She already knows them.
Oh yeah, she's taking the class.
Yeah.
So I teach numerology, and it's a lot of fun. And what I like about the numerology course, which I will be offering in a few months again, is that you're able. Taylor's a 5. And yes, it's her. It's that Taylor. What I like, hi girl. I just saw Taylor a couple weeks ago when I was in Denver. But anyway, what I love about numerology is that it makes great gifts, especially if you have somebody just had a baby.
Oh, that's
You
a
can
good
do you
idea.
can create like a little book for them and
Yeah.
put like my numbers in life, and you could
Uh-huh.
do the baby's chart for like 21 years and kind of give the parents like a
Know what
map
to expect.
of when the
The
baby's
the
gonna when
ultimate what to expect when you're
what the
expecting.
baby's gonna be like.
Yeah.
You can kind of give them like this is a map of this kid. Like,
Yeah. Watch out on this night. This is what's gonna
right,
happen.
right. You
Good
can do
stuff.
that. You can do that with numerology. You really can. And so yes, and so you're gonna be in a 4 personal year. Oh, next year, and that's gonna be hard parts for you, girl. That's gonna be rough. That's gonna be a rough one. It's gonna be hard endings. That's gonna be it's gonna be hard work. That's gonna be she's gonna be in a 4-9, which is that could be. Hopefully, it won't be too bad because if you plan it, it's not bad. 4 is a very hard number, and I'm a 4 in numerology, so that's hard work. It's truth, honesty, hard work.
Hmm.
It's uh, determination. It's stability. It's like we're very hard people to trust. Like we don't trust other people.
You think?
We have to. Everything has to be proven to us.
I don't. I see. I need to work on that
And so,
because I'm the like, oh, I trust you until you
right.
show me I can't.
And
Yeah.
so 4, yeah, Taylor. That might be hard. If you have any issues, just send me a request and we do a consultation so I can, if you have any issues with it, I can get you through it. Debbie, I miss you too. We missed you, Sandy. I missed you, Sandy. You should have been there. We had a great time creating the ornaments. That was like we had a grief group where we created Christmas ornaments with all our loved ones. It came out so cool. You live in a 4 house too. Yep. Okay. So okay, so W 1226, that is 38. So that is a 2. And 2 and 9, you're going to be, so yours is going to have a double. So 2 nines means that you're going to have choices to make with endings. You're going to have choices to make. They can go either way. You're going to have choices to make. There's things you're going to need to get rid of. The sword cuts both ways, and it's going to all be about timing. 2s are also about rhythm and timing. So know that you're going to have choices to make, and it's going to be timing it right to get rid of, to make those choices. And if you follow me on TikTok, tap that screen because I know those hearts keep you live. That would be nice.
I was
You
tapping
was
when I had.
tapping. You was tapping. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Magni. Anyway, so yes, please tap the screen if you're on TikTok. I'm not in the fun for anything on TikTok, but I want to keep the lives going because I'd like to keep on all platforms for now, and we will put the recordings on there. So if you missed them, you can catch them. Um, anyway, so my motto is trust no one. It's not that I do trust people, I do, but my thing is when I see something, I have to totally understand it, and I got to make sure it's real.
When they let you down, that's the hardest thing.
Like studying
Yeah.
mediumship for me was very tough because it took me a long time I had to study with many different cultures, many different people, and it took me a long time to get over the fact that is this me or is this them?
Hmm.
Is this me? Is this them? And it wasn't that I didn't trust it. It was that I needed to be sure because I wasn't going to go public until I was sure. And it wasn't until I had physical contact. So that's what helped me. I actually had physical contact with the spirit world. And that's what helped me push my mediumship. I actually got to see my mother in with my eyes form over
Yeah.
someone. I got to see my mother. I got to see things that physically happened in front of me. I got to experience
So when you say
of
that you
things
saw your
happening.
mother form over someone, were other people able to see her also, or was it just you?
So what happened was, I'll tell you what happened. I was at Arthur Findlay College in Stansted, England. I was there with another medium who kind of told me about it and a friend of his. It was a female, and she was a healer. She wasn't even a medium. And we were sitting there, well, standing outside talking, and she kept saying, I don't remember. I feel like I got somebody with me. She goes, but my shoulder keeps hurting me. She goes, my shoulder keeps hurting me. She goes, it's hurt me back. I said, I think this is you. I said, I understand. I think it's my mother. Because my mother used to always blame me for giving her bursitis in her shoulder because she used to whoop me so much. She did. And she says, well, make it stop because she's really hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finally said to her, when I said at her, mother, make it stop, a black and white like TV screen went over her face, and my mother's face went over her face. And that was like was really weird. And then the pain stopped and went away.
Wow.
It was weird.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was like, damn, I was like, I was like, I was just like, my mouth just went like I was just like floored. And so there was a few things like that happened. And I think, and then when I was also there at Arthur Findlay, that's when I was able to see my guide, and I could see him, and I pushed him out, and 100 or so people saw that guy pop out of me, like, and told me about it.
Okay.
So I'm able to push, and I've done this a few times, push a spirit from my body out so people could see him with the naked eye.
Yeah.
So I can do that too. So it wasn't until, and I didn't know I had those abilities. Like, I had no idea that I had those abilities until I went to Arthur Findlay.
I need to go there.
And so,
because everyone has different abilities.
Well, no, we all have the same. It's
Well,
just
the
that we're
same,
all
but some
we're
are
all
stronger
in.
and-
The thing is, we're all in different levels of consciousness, and so we're all in different levels of our right brain, and so it just you can do any of those things. It's just getting to that level and trusting it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I was there that I realized that I had those things, and I'll never forget. I was there with this other medium, and he was a gay guy, and I didn't even know, barely knew what a medium was at that point. I had been studying, and I met mediums. I knew what mental mediumship was, but I really didn't know a whole lot. And I was we were doing this exercise, and where we all went into like a trance state, and everybody was supposed to like just speak, like it was for like direct voice. You just when spirit moves you, you speak, and people were like saying things like talking about world peace. They all sound like Miss America, world peace, and
yes,
this, this and that. And out of my mouth, I said something like, Harry, get the damn flowers off the bed. And people looked at me like what's wrong with him? This dude just said, damn, like what spirit would say that, And the instructor walked over to me, and it was like, you were going to do remarkable things. And I'm like, why? And I had no idea. But apparently there was he knew another medium named Harry that I knew nothing about because I didn't know any mediums, who was living with the other guy that I mentioned, who that incident must have happened. And I spit it out, and he looked at me and he said, Mr. Patrick, in front of everybody, you're going to be a physical medium. I'm like, what the hell's a physical medium? I didn't even know what a physical medium was. And my little gay friend ran over, like, all excited. Ooh.
Yes.
He goes, he told you you're going to be a physical medium. That's like Christ coming off the cross and telling you. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, what the hell?
What does this
I said,
mean?
what the F is a physical medium? I have no idea. So like, that is a true story. And then that's when, then he wanted to put me into Gordon Higginson's, and this is how I got to know Scott. He wanted to put me in Gordon Higginson's cabinet, but Scott had done a couple of seances in Gordon Higginson's cabinet and then had to go off. So he took the cabinet and split before this tutor could put me in the cabinet. So he was like, damn, Scott. And then instead he put me in a chair in front of in the church. Or it's called it's a sanctuary, but it looks like a church. And it was full of everyone. He put me in a chair in front of everybody. That's when he put me down, and I pushed that spirit out that they all saw. And so, because he knew he could do that. He knew he could do that with me.
Yeah, that's intense.
So.
Yeah. I just want to heal animals.
So, and I was like, I still, and you do this, but I can't do. I mean, I can't do it on demand. I've done it a few times, but I have to get, for me to push him out, I have to get to a certain level in trance. And I guess for me to do it on demand, I would have to practice trance more. I would like to practice trance one-on-one with Scott, but Scott's too busy. So I could get down to that level and be able to do it on a regular basis and push him out so other people can see him. Scott's seen him. I pushed him out in Scott's class when Scott had me down.
Have they filmed this happening? Because are you able to see it yourself?
I see it when my eyes are closed and I can tell when he walks out.
Okay.
But my eyes are closed because I'm in trance. But I can tell he's there.
Yeah.
But I don't. But
I
can tell you what he does. Like I can tell you the action. Like when Scott had me in the medium cabinet and I was out in trance. I saw him come out of me, and I saw him go to the center of the room.
Okay.
And I'm in a cabinet with the curtains closed, but I saw him go through the cabinet. I saw him go to the center of the room, and I saw him nod at all the students in the room. And Scott said, "Did you see the Chinese guy with the long beard come to the center and nod at everybody?" He didn't realize it came from me, but when he said it, it validated it for me tremendously. So I would love to work. I'd love to grab Scott and just say work with me, but that would be so selfish of me because Scott's such a great teacher that the world needs him, and I'm getting to be too old to do physical mediumship anyway because it is a lot on the body.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long I would even be able to do it. If I was younger. You
want to train me?
I would probably. You got to go take classes with Scott.
I know.
If I was a lot younger, I would probably go. I'd probably go move to England and go sit in circle with Scott weekly. If I was younger, but because of my age and stuff, it's.
Well, you just described England as like cold and damp, and I mean the only thing that
we're hot and damp here. What's
that's
the difference?
True. Well, I don't know. I'd rather have it hot and damp. You did describe what sounds slightly what's the term I'm looking for? Redeeming, that they seem to spend a lot of time with Jameson, but the weather out there, I don't know.
It's no different than being here. It's just the opposite of here. It's no more than coming here and being hot and sweaty and damp.
Yeah, I can deal with that.
At least I won't have breast sweat there.
That's true. That's true. They don't understand being given boob money.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to worry about that boob money.
Yes. So it is 9:00.
Okay.
So you had a lovely story.
So, folks, you got how to do your numerology. And hey, Merry Christmas. So I figured I was going to end the night with something special for everyone. Oh, let me have a sip I'm going to need a little sip of some champagne for you because this is a long one. And I want y'all to say it with me. We're gonna say something to each other. Okay? So hang with me. All right. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. We're going to do a visit from St. Nicholas by Clement Clark Moore. We're going to say the whole visit from St. Nicholas. Okay? And that's how we're going to end tonight because it is Christmas and it is special. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap, when out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little low driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed in all in fur, with his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. And a bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opened his pack. His eyes how they twinkled, his dimples how merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of his pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a big bowl of jelly. He was a chubby and plump and right roll of elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and lay in his finger a side of his nose, and gave a nod up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Merry Christmas, guys. We love you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.